it okay for you to start off by maybe telling people what family constellation is in itself, like, to briefly explain to everybody what it is and, why they must be doing this training, why it's so special and stands out from all other therapies that, we are familiar with or we know of.
Yep. Okay. Family constellation is this modality of healing that was begun by Bert Hellinger from Germany in the last 50 years or so. It's fairly new compared to other modalities that have been around. Well, Bert Hellinger really never claimed that he started this because he learned more from other cultures, indigenous cultures, and from the nature about the way of life. So this methodology is based on how you live every day, how you relate with one another, how you relate with nature. And therefore, he drew out of this one thing which is very important, which is called the orders of love. And through these orders of love, we learn how to relate with one another when you start looking children to their parents, to their ancestors, and so forth. Couples, peers, how do we relate and how our attitude plays around that? In a very simple way, Bert Hellinger could bring it into a place of understanding that you can resolve so many conflicts of suffering, of years of suffering, repeating problems from the ancestors, problems and conflicts from the ancestors, from the parents, and in our life today that make us suffer. That when you work with family constellation system therapy, you are able to heal all of that, probably in one session. It is amazing in a very short time. Some people might have to come back over and over again, but some people just one session, you resolve so many conflicts that have its roots way back there from the ancestors to where we are today. So it's just a very beautiful method. Yeah. Yes.
So basically,
go ahead.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah. What I wanted to say is that by understanding the orders of love, which I might talk about it a little later, by understanding the orders of love, immediately love begin to flow and we all relate better with one another. So just remember that. Somebody might want to ask for me to elaborate that, the orders of love.
Yes. That's interesting. It's just amazing how sometimes, with time and generations passing by, sometimes we lose out on so much important and I think sacred information because of maybe a loss of explanation or a loss of communication. And how Bert Hellinger has observed so many of these cultures and put this together that can make it so systemic and yet healing, not just informative, but also healing. That's
exactly
so
beautiful. You said it well.
Yes. And I think the best part about this is that we don't have to go in cycles, just like we talk about trauma is so repetitive and we get in a loop. Family constellation healing not just helps break that loop, but also the idea of healing, where so many times we think of healing as a repetitive cycle of going and seeing our practitioners time and again or every week. But family constellation makes it so simple and quick that it also breaks that chain of assumption that, this is something that's going to be an ongoing thing for me. But, it breaks it. It's done.
You are really very right. And I like to give examples because people understand better what we mean.
Yes.
I have clients who have been going to therapy for 40 years. Some clients start when they were adolescent and the parents put them in therapy and they continue going therapy once a week until they are in their 60s. So that is 40 years later.
Yeah.
They come to me, they open one family constellation.
Yeah.
And they say, what? Where was I? How couldn't I be this? Just one. It's clear what the problem is just with one session because we heal by awareness also. So that's it. I mean, I'm just giving that example as an extreme, but there are many examples. So you are right that what we cut this repetitive circle of like, you have to go to the therapy to be a person, to know how to live life. No, you don't. You might need like this family constellation system therapy, one session to remind you, to help remember that you belong, to help remember that you have somebody who came before you, to have remember that our attitude make us suffer. That's all you need. And then you move on with life again. So it is beautiful.
And yeah, just like you said, this is the other beauty that I really hold with me about family constellation and also maybe somatic experiencing for that matter, that we're talking about connection, we're talking about healing, we're talking about awareness, we're talking about grounding, we're talking about containing and embodying those things than talking about the things that bother us,
Right.
than talking about the things that cause us the problem. Like you say all the time, change your story because that's where you're stuck.
You. Thank you. You are good. You're a good student, a good practitioner. You have learned it so well. I love it that you're organizing, you're inviting more people because you have got it right.
You're a good teacher, Ifu. That's why I have it.
Thank you.
Oh my
Bye.
goodness, I'm enjoying this.
Yeah. Same here.
How do you think family constellation as a facilitator training could help people who are already practitioners or, therapists of different kind? They could be body workers, psychotherapists, doctors, whoever. A lot of people have this question, why should we do this? Or how would it really add to our practice already?
Yes. Thank you. We human being, we inherited this from our evolutionary process, from our development, that cortical brain, it's more developed. So thinking and rethinking and telling our stories is what have been emphasized quite a bit, in our lives. So we never had this opportunity to stop and notice what is happening in our body, what is happening with our emotions, and take care of it. Most of it's just kind of trying to tell the story, this happened and that happened, and actually blaming others. And many story, and then when you go, even the doctors or teachers, wherever you go, you find that people tell the story, and sometimes we even blame them, like, oh, they are doing the same thing, or the doctors you go, they do prescription to get your medication right away. The teachers will discipline you. The psychology might listen and tell you your problem is this and that, but that's what we got. Now, I'm not saying those methods are wrong. I said that is fine, even with the doctors and the teachers and the psychologists and the craniotherapists and all of these modalities that we have, they're all wonderful and they have helped us and they continue to help us. But we all continue to grow and see what else we can add into this. So when you use family constellation, what you are adding into that is to help people, first of all, to realize that they belong. And you're not the one, you as a therapist, as a doctor, as a teacher, you're not the one to carry them, helping them. You are reminding them to know that they belong to a system and their well-being come from their system. They recognize their system, the energy, the force of life that come from that system. And we lose that when we keep thinking of all the negativity that we have from our own relationship, from our connection, from our entangled. relationships and connections. So when we bring this concept of family constellation system therapy in the doctor's office, in the teacher's place, classroom, and the other kind of therapies, we are just putting additional information to our clients to understand that, first of all, could they find peace within the place where they live, where they come from, where they are connected. And then we add everything else we have that we are sharing with them. And that's really bring a lot of wellness. This heal the conflict. Because most of our conflicts are in how we relate with our parents. If you, yeah, we go to the therapy. Tell me the truth, all of you who are out there. What do we go for therapy for? My mother, blah, 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 blah. My father, blah, 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 blah. My grandmother, blah, 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 blah. My sister, my, we all have all these, yeah? So, yeah, we're talking about them and actually putting all of the responsibilities to them. And the family constellation system therapy comes to remind us, no matter what, we have 50% of our contribution. And if we have a 50% and we take our own responsibility, we don't even need to apologize for anything. But we just need to be responsible and move on and have an attitude of goodness, an attitude of embracing, an attitude of relating and connecting. That's all. So I will invite everybody to incorporate this into their practices because it
Definitely
works.
makes so much sense. Makes so much sense. I think it's so important even for the practitioner to remember that their role is not to take care of their clients, but to remind their clients to take care of themselves and to be able to get them to a place where they can take the responsibility for themselves and not even maybe outsource it to the therapist to say, I'm paying you for you to take care of me. Right.
Right.
And that's the core value of family constellation, where we can help them remember that they belong to an already existing system, no matter how it makes them feel just now. There is something more deeper and beyond that makes maybe a reminder of a connection that can, help resolve all the surface tensions that they're most aware of at the moment. And
yes,
ah,
yeah, beautiful.
wow. And I